Jimmie Johnson, our 5-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion. Driver of the number 48 Lowe's Chevrolet. He's our points leader. He took the points lead following Talladega last week. He is an 8-time winner here at Martinsville Speedway. Jimmie, certainly 4 races to go. This racetrack has been very good for you. Let's talk about that and just talk about your outlook now. You got a 4-point lead with 4 to go.
Yeah, without a doubt, it's been a good racetrack for the 48 team. But it doesn't guarantee anything for this weekend's race, and we have to go out and get everything we can in this first practice session, and then try to get our best 2 laps possible for qualifying. We all know how important that first pit stall is, and it can make life so much easier come Sunday afternoon. So very happy to be here. The week was a comfortable week, one from having a decent finish at Talladega and taking the points lead, and then 2, rolling into a track that's historically really good for the 48. So it's been a good week, but again, that doesn't guarantee anything for the weekend. We've got to go out here and get the job done and work hard.
Questions for Jimmie? If you have one, raise your hand. We'll start with Lee, go to Dustin, and then Alan. Go ahead.
Lee Spencer, Fox Sports. Does it surprise you that Matt Kenseth said that they might as well just pencil your name in on the trophy for Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it's flattering. I appreciate it, but there's 4 or 5 guys that really stand a chance each time we come here. I think of 24, 29. The 18's been knocking on the door. I mean, Matt ran the top 5 and even led laps here in the spring. So, we've had a good run over the years, and I understand kind of where that comes from based on past history. But again, it doesn't guarantee anything for this weekend. So, most it's flattering, but we've got to go out there and get to work.
Let's go to Dustin, Alan, Jeff Hood, and Bob Puckers.
Dustin Long, Motor Racing Network. Jimmie, a couple things. How is racing Matt now at this point in the championship? How does that compare to 2006 when you guys kind of went head-to-head? Because you've gone against a lot of different drivers over the years for your titles. How is he different, or is this the same Matt Kenseth as 06? And he said he texted you this week asking not to ask him for advice this weekend. What did you think of that?
We've had a good banter, texting back and forth. For a guy that can come across dry at times, man, as we all know in here, he's awfully funny, and he asked me to not pester him and ask him for too many tips this weekend and a bunch of different things. So certainly having fun with Matt. He's a great guy and one awesome race car driver, and we've all grown and changed a lot over the years. I think that we all, especially racing Matt with the experience that he has, he understands the big picture, how to race, when to race, what to do. I think his departure from Roush and then joining up at Gibbs, it's filled in some weak spots that you normally think that Matt would have, and this track's a perfect example. I think his run in the spring was pretty darn strong, and I think the relationship that he has with his team and his crew chief, they're vibing pretty good. So I'm not going to put my guard down here, even though it is one of our better tracks, and look forward to a battle all the way to the last lap at Homestead with him. And if we slip at all, the 29, the 24, and the 18 have shown, they're not going away. So we need to certainly worry about the 20, but also, there's 4 or 5 cars we got to really pay attention to here. And if Matt and I slip, those guys are right back in it.
Let's go Alan, Jeff Hood, Bob Puckers, Tom Jensen.
Alan Cavana, NASCAR.com. When you were 3rd in points, you said you only really focused on who was 2nd and 1st. Now you're 1st. What's your focus on now?
Really, this weekend especially, doing the best job that I can. And in general, that's really what I have done, Chad has done, and what we preach to our guys. If we put our blinders on and focus on the 48 and do our jobs, we'll be all right. So that mentality definitely is there. But the first car I worry about right now is the 20, and then it kind of goes back from there with the points. So, but I feel like Gordon and Harvick are going to be awfully tough this weekend. It's a good track for them. I think the 29 was here and tested, so that's going to be helpful for those guys. So it's going to be a good race. I think you're going to see the Chasers racing for the win.
So, Jeff Hood, Puckers, Tom Jensen.
Hey, Jimmy, Jeff Hood of RacingToday.com. When it comes to feast or famine, this place seems to be pretty extreme. Even if you go back in the early days of this track where guys either dominated or struggled, there doesn't seem to be much of an in-between. Why do you think that is here, where guys like you can dominate, but other guys just can't get out of their own way?
It's a track that we don't run on anything like this. It's the only paper clip out there for us to run on, and I don't know why the switch was flipped for me. I know how. I've said it a million times. I was following Tony Stewart here as he came to lap me, I think in my sophomore season, and something clicked. And we came up and tested my rookie year a couple times. Looked at data that Jeff was driving around the track, and I couldn't piece it together. But there was something that finally clicked, and I think once it clicks here for a driver, it's a place they always have. And if it doesn't, it gets under your skin and aggravates you and continues to fester and create the flip side. Where you're happy and enjoy the place, you run well, and then the flip side, if you don't and it festers, you just have a tough time here and don't like this place.
Let's go with Bob Pockris, Tom Jensen, television gentleman here, and then Jeff Gluck.
Bob Pockris, Sporting News. In the past, you've talked some about just kind of racing the first 7 races of the chase and then really worrying about who you're racing, but it seems that you've kind of been really focused a little bit on Kenseth a lot the last few weeks, and obviously the tweet from yesterday about doing a 20-mile run. I'm curious, are you more focused on him than other competitors in the past? And the other question is, if Harvick was second, could you have gone 29 miles?
I might have to slide a few miles in on the bike if it was Harvick. I don't know. I made 20 pretty well, so at 29, that's a whole nother game. But I am focused mostly on the 20, and he's been ahead of me. Talladega's been looming out there, as we've all known, so I didn't want to put too much stock in just chasing the 20 until we got out of Talladega. But without a doubt, that's been my focus. I was pretty frustrated after Charlotte. Was in front of him all day long, and then when it finished up, he's right there in front of me at the end of the race. So my focus is on the 20 first and foremost. But again, if we slip, or if I'm not sure at 25 back if Harvick heated up real good, if there's enough time to really be concerned, so or Gordon or even Kyle, I think is a little further back yet, but some in that order, right? Is it? No, I mean I guess maybe social media and other things allow people to see more of what goes on during the week, but I've always been focused on a particular guy. When we get to the end of the year, one year it was Carl, one year it was Denny. You certainly do draw focus, and the later you go, you focus in on one or two cars and drivers much more at that point. And so yeah, especially as we wind down, I'll be much more focused on individuals.
Let's go with Tom Jensen, television gentleman here. I'm not sure of his name, and then Jeff Gluck.
Hi, Jimmy. Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. We go to Texas next week. In 2007, you and Matt put on what might have been the greatest race of the last 10 years. What do you remember about that, and do you guys ever talk about that and think about that?
I think about it. I don't necessarily talk to Matt about it. I'm not sure he's thrilled with the results and how it turned out. But we put on a heck of a show. I was just there testing and remembering that battle. I was inside of him for many laps. Both of us are sideways and just driving the wheels off the cars. So from my standpoint, I think it was an amazing race. I'm sure Matt would agree on most levels, but the results I think you'd want differently. But I just remember knowing that second would be okay, but it's just not in my DNA. We had an opportunity to win, and I also had confidence in Matt that we would race. It wouldn't cross that line, and I was able to push and put on a great show.
Go ahead, sir.
Jonathan Merriman, Channel 10. Loud, isn't it? Have you had a chance to talk to the other drivers about the kind of anticlimactic finish of last weekend's race? And secondly, do you kind of expect that same kind of cautious racing here, or do you think when you guys get out there bouncing off each other, that'll all go out the window?
Any team member or driver I've seen this week, I'll ask the same question. Why wasn't everybody racing? And I don't know. I mean, we had more side-by-side action on lap 1, lap 100 on through than we did in the last few laps. And I think everybody, especially in the first 5 to 10 positions, they're waiting for their opportunity, waiting for someone to pull out, and in anticipation, no one made a move. So I can't quite explain it. I'm a little puzzled by it as well. But, it falls within that strategy mindset. Guys were trying to get their best finish. And at Daytona, you might make a run down the backstretch. Talladega, the finish line is out of the tri-oval and a lot further away. So if we made it to turn 3, turn 4, there would have been a lot going on at that point. But, we crashed down the back and didn't get that chance. For my sake, I wish that we started racing earlier. I tried a couple times, tried to get the bottom line going, and nobody wanted to. And then this weekend, it's a short track, so all the cautious driving is going to go out the window. It's a short track.
Let's go to Jeff Gluck and then Kelly in the back.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. I have a couple of things. I might have missed it, but what did you text back to Kenseth when he asked you not to ask for any tips this weekend?
I'll pull out my phone. Try to remember the exact dialogue. Let's see. He just texted me again and said, "Be ready for the media center." All right. He basically said, we're friends and all, but he'd appreciate me from refraining of asking too much advice or pointers about this weekend in Martinsville, and he hopes that I would understand and that I'm not offended. And I told him I completely understand and wish I could offer him some help one of these days. And then we just went back and forth, and then he gave me the heads up what was going to happen in here.
So when you went out on your run yesterday, did you just happen to run 20 miles, or did you have that number in mind? Like, I'm going to go run 20, his number, that's my focus.
No, for the last couple of weeks I've been building up. Last week I ran 17, the week before was 15, and 20 was the number. My coach and I talked about it last week when we got to 17, and as I got near the end of it, I think my coach said, 20 for the 20, and that kind of planted the seed in my mind and helped me run in, strong at the end. No, I've just been training hard and working hard on things and running those longer distances. The paying attention to your heart rate. I ran a conservative heart rate for the first 17, and then at the end started building my heart rate up, and I had some left in the tank. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but ran home real strong. I was happy about that.
Good deal. We'll go 3 more. Kelly, Mike, and end with Carlos.
Kelly Crandall from Popular Speed back here in the back, Jimmy. You've talked about racing Matt in the past, and we know he has a reputation of being around at the, he comes around at the end when the pay window opens. For instance, in Kentucky, you seemingly had that race won, and then he pops up on a late restart, and it all went to hell. So
exactly.
So you mentioned you're not going to put your guard down. So when it comes to Matt, how much does maybe Kentucky or instances where it's not going to be over until the end, are you going to keep that more in mind, perhaps over the next 4 races, that he's not going to go away easily?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know how I can defend against it, but it is on my mind. Charlotte was another good example of it. I think he ran, around the top 5, 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere throughout the night in that position, and we're up there dominating the race. And I've started to think that we might pick up a couple points on him, and then when the checkered fell, he was 1 spot ahead of me. So he's a great driver, great team, and there's no quitting those guys. So it just means we need to be buttoned up to the end, and it's no secret that we've missed some opportunities throughout the year. The final laps of a race, restart situations, there's been a handful that have gotten away, and at this point, I can't let that happen anymore.
Go with Mike on the far right here, and end with Carlos.
From frontstretch.com. Jimmy, I don't remember for sure, but I don't think when you won your first championship you were running 20 miles.
Drinking 20 beers.
The physical fitness aspect of this, has the the pressure of getting older resulted in you looking to be more physically fit, or have you just realized that the demands of this job require you to be in better physical shape?
I've been in and out of different training routines, and I'd say really the last 5 years I've been focused and determined and on the right path with it all. But this fascination for the endurance stuff, it's just built over the course of the last year as I got stronger. Been able to compete in a few different events and put up good times. That kind of fueled the fire as well. And then, for me mentally, as I've dedicated more time to it and found a way to manage, racing life, personal life, and the training side, it's been a very good thing for me mentally, oddly enough. Sure, there are physical benefits, but there's something in my mind where I feel accomplished. I feel that I did all that I could that day to do my job, to be an athlete. I sleep well, don't sit up wondering about different things because I'm exhausted. And it just generally feels good to get this work done and, to have that behind me in the course of a day. So there's a strong mental aspect to it that I've enjoyed. And also in the moment suffering, on the bike or swimming or running or whatever, it's a similar mindset to driving the race car late in a race or an ill-handling race car, where it's not fun, but you got to figure out how to get to the end as fast as you can. And that mindset's been fun to kind of live during the weekdays and not only on the weekends. Yep.
Final question, Carlos.
Hey, Jimmy, Carlos Mendez, Forward Star Telegram. This week, Carl Edwards said the 48 guys are great closers. If they're at the top of the standings or at the lead in a race, they're going to finish it. But even after the last 2 years, last couple of races last year, are you surprised you still have that reputation in the garage?
Yeah, last year didn't buy us any stock in that. And then there's been some races this year late in the event where things have slipped away. But I think people know what our team's capable of, and through most opportunities we show that, and we're able to get the job done. But we are human, and we do make mistakes. I make mistakes. Team does. Stuff happens. So I'm glad that at least Carl thinks that, and hopefully we can live up to that and get the job done and continue to enforce that message.